Good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler platform. I'm so thankful that you all are here with me this Thursday. Can you believe it's Thursday already? It's April. It's not April anything. It's May 6th, you all. It's May 6th, and I'm so glad that you all are sharing this space with me, sharing this time with me. Hey, listen, I want to ask you this. Do you sometimes find it hard to see yourself in a scenario? In a hypothetical, if somebody gives you a hypothetical and they said, XYZ happened and there was person A, B, and C, are you able to pick yourself out in the lineup? Are you able to pick yourself out in a scenario, in a situation? Sometimes it's hard to see yourself. And I want to talk about how it's sometimes difficult and it's hard to see yourself. I only got 1,800 seconds to do it, but hey, we'll do it right after this. Meanwhile, why don't you go and tell somebody that Let's Talk to Cutler is here on for the evening, and he has something to say. Tell somebody to come along for the ride because we're picking up passengers. I'll talk about that right after this, y'all. I'll be right back.
Let's talk to Cutler. Subscribe and share. Come on, let's talk to Cutler.
All right, I am back, and I'm so thankful that you all are here. And let's see, is it G Dubs? I'm so glad that you're here. So I'm going to shout you out in just a moment. All right, but you all listen. I got 1,800 seconds, and I want to make sure that every second is significant. I want to make sure that every moment matters and every minute is meaningful. What we're doing every Tuesday and Thursday, I show up here, and right now we're basing our conversation on this book right here, Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. What are we doing, Cutler? What is this all about? It means we're driving along the highway. We're reading the billboards. Some apply to us and some don't. We're reading the ones that apply to us and the ones that don't. We're sharing those with other people. But the goal is to be able to have a conversation so that we can show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. It's not about dotting every I. It's not about crossing every T. It's not walking along into the space called perfection. It's just about being better and feeling good about being better and reaching that place called better and not getting there alone. It's making sure that we show up not empty-handed, but show up with a friend, a brother, a sister, or some fellow passenger. So why do I call you all passengers? Because we're in this vehicle. We're riding. And when our vehicle becomes crowded, just pick up another one and say, hey, you all join the caravan. I want to thank you all. I don't take it for granted that you all join me here every Thursday and every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So if this is your first time, please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. And once you subscribe, go ahead and click on that notification bell so that you are aware whenever I go live, whenever I upload new content. And then go one step further. As you are coming to the chat room, go ahead and click on the thumbs up conversation. It warms the thumbs up for the conversation. It warms my heart. And it also says to YouTube, hey, I kind of like what the guy's talking about. All right. I want to shout out the LTTC VIPs, and I want you all in the chat room to help me because I miss G Dubs the other evening. G Dubs is here. So you all do me a favor and say hi to G Dubs in the chat room. That's one of our LTTC VIPs. Good evening to you, Ray Della Lewis. Good evening to you, Mary Grace 5. Good evening to you. Looks like some of you said, hey, I'm here. I got my seatbelt fastened, and I'm ready for the ride. So I'm not going to disappoint you. Again, I'm going to go ahead and get started because we only have 1,800 seconds. So on Tuesdays, what do? We're reading from Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Those are the quotes that we read. And then when we get to Thursday, we're reading the quotes for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Hey, when you get to the quote in this book for a Saturday, do what you want to do with it. Use it to start a conversation. Use it as part of your meditation or whatever. Just make sure that you read it. All right. I want to start with our quote for May 5th. It says, God is probably more interested in changing me than he is in changing my situation. God is probably more interested in changing me than he is in changing my situation. Let me read the anecdote and then I'll keep on reading. All right. Because the antidote to this is, if he changes me, I have the faith to believe that he would give me the ability to change my situation. I have the faith to believe that he would give me the ability to change my situation. Y'all, I think I hear I want to make sure that my phone doesn't buzz and interrupt our conversation. People have to know that that I'm talking with my passengers. All right, but you all, when it comes to this quote, honestly, this is about realizing when you might be the problem. It is a candid confession. It's a candid confession that we still have room left to grow. It's one of those reality doses that reminds us that we are not blameless and that we still need to take inventory of ourselves from time to time. That's all it's about. And I will admit, you all, that it is not easy. And you all talk to me. You all have to help me here. It's not easy seeing yourself as the common denominator in bad situations. I've had the occasion sometimes to hear about, different pockets of people in different gossips, in different pockets of gossip and mess and all of that. And it was always intriguing to find that there was one person who was a common factor in each situation. Let me, just for the sake of example, let me call this person Jane. I'll call this person Jane. And in every situation, Jane's name came up. And I had the occasion to talk to Jane, and several Janes actually, but when I tried to mention to Jane that maybe she wanted to be a little more sparing in terms of the need to always share an opinion and to use just a little more wisdom regarding when silence might be the best option, as you can imagine, Jane suggested to me that she was just going to get herself some new friends. But it wasn't her friends who needed to be changed. It wasn't her friends who needed to change, you all. It was her. It was Jane. I had this conversation. Jane's name came up in every pocket of mess, in every pocket of gossip. And I wanted to have a conversation. So maybe you want to find it not so necessary to share your opinion all the time, Jane, or maybe you need to use just a little more wisdom and know when silence sometimes is a good answer. Jane just got belligerent and said, "Well, I'm just going to get some new friends." Again, Jane, it's not your friends that need to change. How many times, y'all do me a favor and please say hi to Shonda Charwell, who is in the chat with us. Shonda, thank you so much for joining. I think this is your first time. We're glad to have you. How many times, you all, have we prayed to God? I mean, I'm just going to take it to that level. How many times have we just prayed to God to change a situation? And when he did, he gave you a new situation, but you did the old thing in a new situation. Maybe I'm the only person who's ever done that. I mean, pray, Lord, change my situation. Give me a new situation. I got in the new situation and I did the old thing. But I discovered a long time ago that it wasn't always my situation that needed to be changed. Many times what needed to be changed was me, was Cutler. My perspective, maybe, my outlook, my focus, my approach to people, my strategy, my timing, something about me needed to be changed. It wasn't the situation, it wasn't the people, it wasn't anybody else, it was me. My outlook, my focus, something about me needed to be changed. Listen, if you have a reputation, I'm just chit-chatting, I'm just talking. Listen, you all, if you have a reputation for being a certain kind of way, or if people respond to you in a similar manner that you don't necessarily like, it might not be the people. And I get it. This may be one of those bitter pills where we're really challenged. If you know that your tongue is sharp and your patience is short, I'm just chatting. I'm really trying to help somebody tonight. If you know that your tongue is sharp and your patience is short, what a deadly combination. And some of the people that you call good friends are no longer in your space, you all. It might not be your friends that need to change, but perhaps it might be you. And I know some of you think, "Oh, Cutler, I didn't sign on for that." But what we're chatting about is honestly, how can we do better? And we cannot do better unless we're going to be honest with ourselves. I could never get to a place in my heart, my mind, and my soul, and my spirit where I was going to do better unless I could face some of the other truths about me. I know this is a hard pill for some of us to swallow because as much as we like for people to tell us the truth, here I am, confession and being transparent. We are sometimes, let me just say, I was sometimes resistant to the truth when it challenged me to change how I operated and behaved. Oh, always talking about, oh yeah, tell me the truth. My homeboys, tell me the truth. Y'all, my dogs, tell me the truth. Man, let me know when I'm, when I've misguided myself and misdirected. Would say that, but then when it happened and my boys came to talk to me, you all, guess what I did? I was resistant to the truth because it challenged me to operate in a different way. It changed me to behave in a different way. And sometimes we let people, and it's not that you're always, real aggressive. Sometimes we let people walk all over us. And when we pray to God to change the people in our lives, and here comes a new batch of people, what do? We let them walk all over us. When are we going to learn in those situations that it's not the people who need to change, but it might be us? In that case, we might need to grow a spine, a backbone, or some resilience. Ask yourself, am I the one that needs to be changed? Have you ever been in a situation where you're just getting the same results over and over and over? I know people, when it comes to relationships, they seem to keep picking the same kind of people over and over and over, and they end up with losers. I hate to call people losers, but that's what they end up with. I know people, when it comes to health and nutrition, they keep saying that they're going to do something. They keep trying the same kinds of fads and diets, and they end up with weight issues, you all, that go up and down like a seesaw over and over and over, doing the same thing. I know some young people, or at least younger people, who have gotten into trouble with the law as a result of the company that they sometimes keep. But they keep choosing the same kind of people to become a part of the social circles. And it just amazes me. And maybe because I'm taking a retrospective look at it, but it amazes me that we cannot see that we sometimes are the common factor. We are the element that needs to be changed. All I'm trying to say is that maybe it's not the situation that needs to be changed. Maybe it's me. Maybe I need to learn how to say no when it comes to people using me. Maybe I need to learn how to say yes when it comes to carving out some time for me. Maybe I need to learn how to be more quiet and not always feel the need to share my opinion or give somebody a piece of my mind and then look around and act like someone mistreated me when I know it was my nasty tongue and my nasty behavior. Maybe it's just me. We have to learn sometimes when we are the root cause of a problem. Because when we learn that we are the root cause of the problem, y'all, guess what then happens? Our ego won't allow us to apologize. Maybe we're the ones who need to be changed in some of these situations. Thank you, Shonda. You're right. It's difficult to see the truth about ourselves sometimes. That's why we need honest people in our lives who know how to deliver the truth. So it's one thing to have honest people, but it's a different thing to have people who know how to deliver the truth. Because sometimes we are resistant and we repel the truth, not because it is the truth, but because of how it's delivered. So tonight, I want to offer all of our fellow passengers, you all, I want to offer us the gift of knowing when we are the common denominator or the common element. And I'm also offering us the gift of being able to hear the truth, even when the truth does suggest that we need to change. But I'm giving us one more gift as it pertains to this quote. I'm giving us the ability to deliver truth and love. I'm giving us the ability to deliver truth and meekness. I'm offering us the ability to deliver truth and consider the impact that it would have on us if someone gave it to us that way. So while the quote starts off with saying God is probably more interested in changing me than he is in changing my situation, yeah, it means that we have to take an introspective look at who we are, what we do, and how we show up and how we be. We have to be open to truth. But as it pertains to other people in our life, we have to be change agents for them. And we need to learn how to know how to handle the truth. All right. I hope you all enjoy that quote, because when I revisited that one, It says it's about introspection, but it's also about projection. Help me to be able to see when I need to be changed, but help me know how to offer change to others. You all do me a favor. Please make sure that you say hi and welcome PKN CRM in the room. It's so great to have you. Thank you so much for joining the chat. You are one of our fellow passengers this evening, and I'm delighted to have you along. All right, you all, I want to go for the ride. I want to go to the next quote for May 6th. May 6th. All right. Thank you all. Some of you all are saying, thank you for the offering. Thank you for the gift. And I accept. Yes. Yeah. Because guess what, you all? I'm speaking from this vantage point, but I promise you all that I have to hear the same words that I'm giving you all. I have to learn how to eat those words. So every time you all give me the opportunity and you share your space, whether it's your living room, your dining room, your front porch, wherever it is, I'm thankful because as I'm giving it to you, I hear you all offering it back to me. Thank you for that. I want to say thank you. All right, May 6th, I'm going to go to the quote for May 6th, and it says, believe God simply because God can. And catch this one, you all. And because God simply can. Believe God simply because God can. And because God simply can. People always ask me from time to time, always from time to time. That's an oxymoron. But sometimes people ask me, so when you get on, Tuesdays and Thursdays, is it always about God? Is it always about faith? And I tell them it's always about journey. It's always about the journey. And it's always about being whole and holistic. And listen, spirituality is just a part of that. So when it comes to believing God simply because God can, every day, you all, every single day, we act in faith to some degree or another. We will sit in a chair and we believe that it's going to hold us. We pick up a device and we start pressing buttons and flipping switches and we believe something is going to turn on or something is going to turn off. Someone tells us that they're going to do something for us and we believe it. We act in some degree of faith every day. And in my space of spirituality, I don't juggle with my faith. Either I'm going to believe God or I'm not. This is one of those quotes when it's either you are or you aren't. I grew up believing everything my mother said. I just did. And I didn't question whether she was going to do anything she said or that she promised. I didn't question it. I took her at face value and I believed her. And I've learned to do the same thing with God. I really have. But as with my conversations with my mother, I'm also careful to make sure that I repeat what I heard, to make sure I know, Mom, you said this as it pertains to me. It is the same thing when I have a conversation with God. I want to make sure that I'm careful to know and state accurately what he said because I don't want to hold him accountable for something that he didn't say. And even if it's not a matter of what he said, I trust his ability. I simply do. This quote is about simply believing God, and I simply trust God's ability. I do. And my faith in him is not up for discussion. I believe God. It's that simple. And if this particular quote doesn't work for you, hang on, you all. Hang on. We're not going to argue about it because I got a couple more that might work for you. But what I want to say here, what I want to say is before I move to the next one, let me just say this. I simply believe God because, I think about all of these characters in the Bible, and even though my name may not be Daniel, here's why I believe. Because I'm clear about moments like Daniel when I was entrapped and ensnared and entangled. But God stepped in and he locked the jaws of the situation that was meant to devour and destroy me. That's why I believe. So I want to share from my heart when people ask me, why are you so spiritual and why does that come across? I have to share that with you all. I simply believe God. I believe him because my name may not be Jonah. We hear growing up Jonah in the belly of the whale. It was a great fish. Well, listen, I may not be Jonah, but I've had situations where I felt low and in despair. And I looked around, even those times when I thought I was spiritual and I couldn't find God anywhere, only to discover that he had rescued me by his grace and I wasn't even aware of it. That's what happens in life. Live long enough and that's what happens. I got one more. I believe God because I might not be, Shadrach, Meshach, or Abednego. I may not be one of those Hebrew boys, but I've been in situations that were meant to consume me. But I can only believe that God stepped in the situation with me and insulated me with his love so that the situation didn't consume me. That's why this quote talks about simply believing him because he simply can. And I'll tell you all this, at this point in my life, I'm closer to 60 than I am 50. And I've lived long enough where I've decided that I'm going to simply believe God because God simply can. Got another quote for you all. I hope that resonates with somebody else other than me. The point is, don't make your faith complex. Whatever it may be, don't make it complex. Make it simple and call it a day. All right, I got one more that I want to share with you. The quote for May 7th. Again, if you're coming in the room and you're joining the chat, let me say thank you all. I'm only here for 1,800 seconds, but I want to say thank you all for being here with me. I'm reading quotes from this book, Billboard to Better, 366 Daily Sources of Motivation and Inspiration Along the Highway of Life. Why, Cutler? Because it is my goal that we all reach a space called better. All right. And I want to make sure that we are equipped to show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. Not that today has been a wash, because it hasn't. All right. The quote from May 7th. Let me go into that one. You were created to reflect the creative power of the one who creates. A lot of creation going on in that. A lot of creating, right? A lot of creating. So this quote says, you were created to reflect the creative power of the one who creates. I hope this quote speaks to the heart of people who have looked in the mirror and didn't necessarily like who or what you saw looking back. You're all going to say, oh, wow, here comes another transparent from this guy Cutler. It really is. I hope this particular quote speaks to the heart of people who have ever looked in the mirror and didn't like who or what they saw looking back. I hope it speaks to people who sometimes face a new day and ask themselves, what's the use? I hope it speaks to people who face challenging situations and they sometimes ask themselves, why even try? Because in each of those situations, that was me. And this quote is really written from a deep, transparent space. Because at some point, I got tired and exhausted of feeling like that and showing up like that and carrying that weight and being that person. Got tired of looking in the mirror and saying, I don't like the person that I see in the mirror. Got tired of facing situations and saying, what's the use? Got tired of waking up and saying, I'm not up for another challenge. Got tired of that weight. That's a weight. And I don't take for granted, and I don't take lightly, and I don't toy with people who carry that kind of weight because that's a serious weight. I got tired of smiling outside and crying inside. I got tired of seeing worth in others and never seeing it within myself. Got tired of it. And so I heard over and over and over, people who would recount these things as I was growing up, for God so loved the world. I heard that. Didn't resonate with me. I would hear people sing, the little song, Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Didn't resonate. I'd rehearse and regurgitate all of those things. Wasn't really feeling it. Wasn't really feeling the love you all. Wasn't feeling valued. I'm being honest. Can I be honest with my fellow passengers? But one day I ran across this story. And it seemed that someone was having a conversation with God and they asked him, what is man that thou art mindful of him? This thing called the human being that you've created. Why do you think so much about this human being? And why do you love this thing called humanity so much? And I ask myself, who am I? Who am I to think that I can dislike what God loves? Who am I that I can disregard the very thing that God thinks so much about. And when I tell you all, when I talk about introspection, I'm really talking about doing a deep dive. Who am I to think that I can dislike the very thing that God loves? Who am I that I can disregard the very thing that God thinks so much about? Who am I not to realize that the expansion and contractions of my lungs is a gift from God? I'm telling you all that's the kind of introspection I went through. And it took me to a space and a place that I've always existed in. A space where I realized that I have an opportunity to reflect the greatest power source in the world. The power source that creates and gives life. That's who I'm chatting with this evening. People who have the greatest power source as part of their lives. And I realize that as it pertains to people, one of our responsibilities is to build up and not tear down. As it pertains to people, our responsibility is to construct and not destroy. As it pertains to people, our responsibility is to encourage and not discourage, to build and not break, to inspire and not despise, to motivate and not manipulate, to challenge them to become better and not to encourage them to settle for mediocrity. As it pertains to people, and I had to realize that I'm one of the people. You're one of the people. I get it. We sometimes are misguided and misdirected as it pertains to our value. But every single time your lungs expand and collapse, y'all, that's a gift. Every time you consider the complexity of your circulatory system, how the blood is flowing to and from, that is a gift. That is a gift. And I get it. We sometimes get caught up in life and we live so long until life creates this residue. And from time to time, we need to have situations like this to help wash off the residue. I got another gift that I want to offer you all as I close this evening. Yes, you can pick up this book. Go over to Amazon.com and pick it up. But I want to close by sharing a poem, another poem that I wrote in one of my books, Who We Once Were. And it's called The Residue. Because life happens and it leaves a residue on us. And so I wrote this poem because I was at a space where I realized, you know what? I'm able to rinse and wash that residue off. So I want to share that with you all as we close. All right? Cleansed and purified, rinsed and sanctified, but there remains a residue. From the mud baths of the day before yesterday, the day I gave no thought to who I should be, would be, or even could be. Could be. Scraped and scoured, polished and empowered, but there remains a residue of the adult who once played as a child, or child who was growing all the while not knowing what was best for me. Planted and groomed, nurtured and pruned, but there remains a residue. From the weeds of an unfertilized soil where sowing and reaping brought tears of weeping for what I could not see. In the shower of my redemption, I stood, washing away all that I could. A new song I started to sing, but in the tub there remained a ring, a history of where I had been. The indicia of all my sin. I wept, for all I could see was the residue. But now I see a lake called regretful. I see a sea called forgetful, where the residue is cast at last. The shame has sunk and my soul is drunk on a new wine, where this time the residue rises no more. I want to thank you all for sharing and spending this 1800 seconds with me. I hope that you feel a little bit better, that you feel empowered to show up better tomorrow than you did today. I want to thank you all. I'm here every Tuesday, every Thursday at 8 o'clock. Tell other people Cutler is on air, and hopefully you will share that he's talking some good stuff. Listen, you all, I'm thankful for this space. Thankful for you allowing me to come wherever you've allowed me to come. Until you see me Tuesday, let's keep on building community, maintaining connectivity. You all keep your heads up and keep your hopes up. Stay safe and stay sane, and know that from my heart to yours, there will be always much love. Good night, all.